This lesson, we're going to explore some new software. We're going to get out of the Adobe Creative Cloud and try something new. It's called Figma, and Adobe tried to buy it for a lot of money, and they eventually didn't because it's kind of a competitor, and it also does some interesting things like prototyping. And what I mean by that is that we can test ideas out quickly to see if they work. And this is a piece of software that can create apps and website prototypes to quickly view like how it would work and flow, and you test it out before you send it off to a developer. So that's what we're going to learn how to do, is create a prototype app or website with design tools, and you're going to be able to see it and test it on your phone by the end of this. So let's try something new. First, you got to create an account. And so Figma, Figma.com, and use your Google sign in, and use your school one. I already have an account, but that'll work. So you're going to start with a kind of a blank screen here, and I'll have a separate video on the Jamboard, Figma Jamboard. You're going to try that out too. But this is what you start with, and just like Adobe stuff, you'll have this space where you'll have projects. On the left-hand side, we see we're on a free plan, so you can pay for more things if you want to. You get a limited amount of stuff for free, of course, but they want you to try it out. You can start a new design file right here. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to take me to kind of a new sort of page over here. On the left-hand side, there's a bunch of stuff. Right here, you have a menu with many, many things inside. This button is to compact things. File, and then assets. These are assets are things you can kind of search for, like a library outside of the program. And then you have pages and layers. So that's what we have over here. You have a limit of 3 pages. So don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. But I'm going to call my page something like practice. So we'll practice together in class, and then you'll have the training to turn yourself loose. You should only get 3 pages. Mine used to show up and it said, hey, you only have 3 pages. For some reason, it's let me do more, but you really only need 1 page. So if you made a new page, you can just right click and delete and delete. Why would you have a second page? If you wanted 1 page for maybe your ideas and a second page for your design, then you could do that. It's basically like a whole other document within your project. So I'm just going to leave this with 1. Also, we can name our project. I'm just going to call this practice again. There we go. And then layers is where things are going to, of course, start to get built. So right in the middle, this is where our stuff is going to be. Down at the bottom, you have all your tools, and they're very similar to Illustrator. So you have your move tool, you got your hand and scale tool. I'm going to skip this guy for now. You have some basic shape tools, just like Illustrator, and the pen tool, pencil tool, text. You can leave comments. So this is a collaborative tool. Think Google Docs meets Illustrator all together. And some other additional tools and coding if you want to get into that, which we will not. And then right here you have a frame, section, and slice tool. The frame tool is what we're going to use the most out of those tools right there. I'm going to jump over here to the right. This is going to be where all of the properties of your shapes and your pages and all the details are going to be. So if you need to find more information on the right-hand side, you can also prototype. So we're going to build something, and then we're going to test it out. We're going to have a web view of this, and then I'm going to show you how to put this on your phone. I am brand new to Figma. I've always wanted to learn it because it's kind of a new thing. So I'm at the beginning of this, kind of learn with you guys. So I'm excited to learn something new. So we're going to make a very basic sort of app prototype. This could also be a website, but we're going to do an app. I'm going to create the frame tool, or click the frame tool. And then on the right-hand side, you have a choice of how you want to see this. Are you making this like an app on your phone or website on your phone? And which phone are you going to make? I noticed that there's not a lot of Android stuff here, a lot of Apple. So I have a iPhone 14 SE. So that's what I'm going to go with. And it creates a basically like an artboard. And this artboard can be moved around and you can name it. So I'm just going to call this maybe home. This is where people would land if they typed in your thing. And you can see all this thing kind of lights up. Appearance and X and Y values and all this sort of stuff. So that is there. So this would be, let's say, our home page. Okay, I can create more frames. If I option or alt drag, I can create more. Control Command D is duplicate. So I could create multiple pages very quickly, but I would also need to change the name. I'm going to just call this page 1, page 2. So I think we can maybe do 3 pages to get the gist of how this program works for our training. Our layers are now lit up, and you can see that they took on the names that we put on over there. So these artboards are where you're going to put your content, of course, and they have to be in the artboard. These layers are going to start acting like little containers for your work. Okay, so let's make a real simple sort of app, I guess. It's going to be maybe an app to it could be a checklist app. It could be something like a photo gallery. It could be something that you are purchasing. So I'm going to make something similar to like you would buy a product. Okay, so it's going to be a dummy sort of app site. It's going to be done quickly, not thought through as far as design and that stuff goes, but I want to show you how this stuff works. So we have the shape tools. I'm just going to use a rectangle and draw a rectangle out. You'll notice that it's gray. So I can, of course, move it and scale it just like anything in Illustrator. And you have your properties over here. So you have your width and height. You have your appearance, which is basically the opacity. So you can control opacity there. Rounded corners. If you want there to be a little more rounded to your corner. Not really working. There we go. I'll undo that twice. Command Control Z is undo. You can also choose a color fill if you wanted to. I'm going to have this be a very strong red sort of website or app. Then you have some other controls like the stroke. If you wanted a stroke on there, you can add it to it. Or effects like drop shadows, you can add those. So basic stuff like that. Also, there's align and distribute tools here. So that's shapes. Let's say if I wanted another shape on there, I'm going to throw maybe an ellipse. Maybe that's also red. If I wanted to, I could use the color picker and choose a color that I see. So that's cool. I'm just going to copy and paste. So Command Control C and then V. We'll copy and paste. Real quick, I'm going to go. Yeah, we'll call it good. Anywhere I click, I have a little red circle just for my presentation, but that's fine. You can also alt drag and create a duplicate. So it's very easy to duplicate shapes. We can group things. So if I want to, I'm going to hold Shift down and select multiple things. And you can see right here, there are multiple objects here. I'm going to try something here. You can group it, which becomes a group. You can call those, red circles. Okay, that's just like Illustrator. Or you could also right click on them and actually it's going to be up here. It's going to be under object and then create smart object. Sorry, add auto layout. and this is going to be new for me, but you can arrange and align them within this group. So this is maybe not the best use of this, but it's a different type of sort of group. So those are two ways to group things. I don't like the auto align, and I'll hopefully use this in a better way in a second. So I'm going to actually undo all of this and just group them like I did before. Call that circles. Okay. Okay. I need to make sure that I'm displaying all the things on my phone that are there, and I have like a little notch in mine. That's something that an iPhone has. Also, there's some little icons over here and over here that I need to display on all of my pages. And I could draw them. I could draw all of the icons that are supposed to be there, the Wi-Fi icon, the signal icon, the little notch and all that. Or I could use a plugin. So I'm going to do a little Google search for Figma and iOS kit. So a kit is going to have all the little icons for you. And we'll see what we find here. iOS 16 is, as of this video, is the new one. And there's this huge community that creates a ton of stuff. So if you hit open in Figma, it's going to take a little bit and download it. So it depends on what's in there. And then there's all sorts of stuff that'll be in this file. Let's see. So there's different pages over here. So we have some pages that you can read through. There's these components, which is what I'm wanting right now, and then some templates that might be useful. So I don't have to make everything. I'm going to come in, and what I'm looking for is the little notch. Let's see. My zoom is not behaving, so I'm going to Command plus to zoom in, and I'm looking for the little notch above the phone, and I think I see it. All right, now you can look through all the ones, and I'm looking for iPhone 14, so I just don't want to do this work. This is all a little template that I can pull that's going to help me design. And so if I double click, I can start drilling down into these components. Double click again, and there we go. That whole thing is a group, and I can copy it. I'm going to paste it, and what it pastes in as basically like another frame. So this frame is not a group of objects, so to say. It's like a whole page full of stuff. So if you tried to like double click and go into stuff, it's not going to really act like it should. So you have to right click and detach instance, which is going to kind of ungroup everything. So then I can, start pulling these things apart. There's still a page here. So I can start kind of pulling these components apart. I don't need this page anymore, so I can get rid of that. But now I have these parts. So using a library that's already been created is really helpful. I don't have to make any of this art. And there are entire libraries out there for us to use. This is a really interesting sort of thing. This is, if you go under the File menu and then go to Objects, and then this is an auto layout. So basically it's several objects, and if I move the scale box, right or left, these have been arranged in a way to where they scale. This is another one. If I grab this and I move this, look at, they scale. And that's huge when you're going to create something like an iPad version or an iPhone version or a website version. Okay, so I can use this, and I'm just going to sort of start dropping things in place. And there should be this snapping feature where things snap for you. There you go. You already have a sort of top bar of an iPhone. Okay. I need some text. So I'm going to use this text box here. And I got a missing font, so I'm going to try to maybe change this so that I can modify this. Okay. You're going to have to figure out your app. This is just a temp page. So this is called my, this is my practice app. So you can create text. Okay. So that's kind of maybe my home page. Maybe I want this to be center justified, and I'm going to have this kind of be centered on the page. Maybe I want this to be up here. Maybe the color is white, or I want this to be, there's no bold version. That's okay. That looks pretty good. Okay, I need some sort of functionality now. So I'm going to create a button down here. And again, you can look for these things or you can create your own. We can create them in Figma. So I'm going to create a button here, and I want there to be some rounded corners. So I'm just going to drag this guy here to 10. I'd like to have some different color here. So first I'm going to sample the red, but I'm going to make this maybe a darker red. All right, I'm going to put some text on top of that. Alt drag. And I'm going to arrange my text. I right clicked on it and brought to the front. Tap here. This button's kind of boring. So I could add an effect to it. I could put a drop shadow on it. There we go. That's kind of nice. You can also add some other things to this if you wanted to. Inner shadow, layer blur. You could do multiples. If you wanted to add a new one, you could add a new one. So you can just press the plus sign here. So you can add multiple ones. Okay, finally, I'm going to round out my first page. I'm just going to drag this box here and drag it down there. So there's my home page. So when I open the app, it's going to look like that. And then when I tap here, I want it to go to, let's say, page 1. So I'm just going to design a couple of things really simply, and then we're going to work on our navigation. Page 1 is, I'm just going to drag this red box over here, maybe make this kind of different. I'm just alt dragging this text. Maybe I have some black text here. And this is going to be, I don't know, rate yourself. Not sure what I'm building, but okay. And there would be maybe some controls here of rating yourself. So again, this is just a prototype app. So you're creating this space where you're like, well, I think this would work like this. And a programmer would take it from you and kind of finish it off. So I'm going to create, let's see, there's a line tool. I'm going to create a little slide, a little slider. This line is the stroke. Black looks good. And if I wanted the stroke to be a little thicker, I could increase it there. So these controls are all similar to Illustrator. Little slider, rate yourself. And maybe I'm just going to alt drag here, and then this can be 0. This is a good chance to try a auto layout. So I'm just going to make a couple of text entries here. So that's a 0. I'm going to alt drag and make this a 10. And then I'm going to make another one that's a 5. And I'm purposely putting this one not in the middle just to see. So I'm going to select all 3 of these, and then go here, object, and then add auto layout. What I get here is I get some controls. I can set my alignment, how it's laid out, if I want it to be vertical or horizontal. I get the choice of sort of how much spacing. It's almost like tracking or kerning in text, but you can do this with graphics. Okay, and then you also have this, what is called padding. So I'm going to create a little bit of padding, and that's something that you would there we go. You would keep consistent in your design. So you can have this padding around everything so that it doesn't get cut off when you view it. So auto layout, something very cool that I'm learning about right now. Okay, so the idea was that people would slide this back and forth, and then maybe there's some information down here. I'll just type in some gibberish for now, make that kind of small print. Okay, let's add another element to this page. So let's say when you rate yourself, okay, this button, when you let go of it, it's going to give you a total score over here. So this last page would be your total score. And I'm going to put this text over here, and then let's say you rate yourself a 10, and that's what it would look like. So I'm going to increase the size of this font. Okay, maybe even bigger. Really big. Okay, I'm going to bring over some red so we can have that down there. Maybe it looks like this. I'm going to send this to the back and change that to white. That's cool. And then maybe there's some text over here describing sort of why you got that number. Okay. So we have our app. We got our bubbles. We got our tap here. We got what it does. You're going to rate yourself, some information here. And then on the third page, it's going to show you your rating and here. Awesome. Okay. So that's the gist of design. There's a ton of other stuff kind of hidden over here, but it's all really like Illustrator. The only thing that's different is that sort of auto layout, which is really cool, and you should definitely try it out. Keep an eye on your stuff over here. There's home, page 1, page 2. And I have some problems before I get to the part where I'm going to prototype this. All these things, they need to be in the artboard or the frame. They call them frames. So like my circles, they need to be in my home. So I'm going to drag that down to home, and it's going to crop it. You'll notice that it crops it. Anything I'm not using, I'm going to just get rid of. Hit delete. I have some other issues. I got frame 10. That should be on page 1. So I'm going to drag that down to page 1. There we go. So now it's all cleaned up and we're ready to prototype. On the right hand side, you'll see that you have a little button there, and you can set what you're going to prototype to. I want to prototype it to my phone that I have, so I'm going to choose that, but there's a ton of options here. You can go any of these. Custom size, if you can't figure out, what phone you have, you can look it up, figure out what kind of phone you have. You also have some interesting choices of what your phone looks like, and horizontal or vertical. Okay, now we're going to make some basic navigation, and we'll talk about animation here in a second. So let's say this whole page here, let's say if I wanted to tap on the page or click or whatever, and it would go to the next page. So that's what we're going to go with. So right here, you'll see no matter what you click on, whether it's a page or a graphic, you'll see a little dot, and then when you hover over it, it'll turn it into a plus. All you do is click and drag that to wherever you want this to navigate to. You'll see when that pops up, you'll get some choices. What do you want it to do? It's kind of like a presentation. All right, click on this, and then it goes to do this. I want on tap. So if I tap the whole page, it's going to navigate to page 1. So that's already set up. I can choose the type of animation here as well. So I'm just going to do instant to test that out. All right, we'll do the same thing. I'm going to click on page 1 up here. There's my dot. Click and drag. Boom. On tap, navigate to page 2 in an instant. Okay, we've set up some basic navigation, and now I'm going to test it out. Still in prototype, hit the play button, and it'll give you a version of the iPhone. So let's try it out. So I'm prototyping, I'm testing. This is where you can really understand what's going right and what's going wrong. This is why people do prototyping. How does your design look on this phone? Do you have some things that are like, well, I can't quite see that, or my text is too small, or the graphics aren't working right? And then you can also test out the navigation. I'm going to just click once. There it is. It went to page 2 instantly. Now I can't move this slider because I don't have interactivity, but I do have a click. If I click on this, it goes to page 3. There you go. And you can also come down here and navigate here and go back and forth. You can also change your sort of layout. So if I wanted to go to, you can choose like, watches and that sort of stuff. So if you want to see it on a large Android, it's not going to fit because you didn't design it the right size, but at least you can see some other devices. So I'm going to go back to my default. Okay, you can leave this open. I'm going to close up some windows. What's really cool is that you leave this open. Actually, I'm going to split my screen here. There we go. Okay, so this is here. This is my home page, and it's displaying what I've made. I'm on prototype. I'm going to come back over to my design and then click on design and change something. I'm just going to change this red to, let's say, blue. And look at that. It is automatically updating. It is remarkably fast. Maybe I want to change. This is a group, so I'm going to change some. Maybe there. It's just instant. It's so crazy. Maybe the client came back and said, hey, we need this to look a little more interesting. That dark red is not working for me. I want to pick this blue. There we go. One more change I'll make to the home page. Boom, there we go. And you can see it's just completely working over here. It's really cool. Okay, let's add some animation to our work. I'm going to go back to prototype, and when you click on home here, I have this link, and I want to get rid of that. So I'm just going to click on it and hit delete, And now that link is gone. I'm going to do this one too. I'm going to get rid of this one because I don't want to tap on the whole page. I want to tap on this thing. So first, when I hit the tap here, I want that to be my navigator. So I'm in the prototype. When I click here, again, you get this little plus sign anywhere, and I'm just going to drag that over instead. Okay, so that's the first thing. You can do that to objects, not pages. Second, I'm going to add some animation. I can do several things. We can do a dissolve, and it gives you a little animation down here. So on tap, it's going to navigate to page 1. It's going to dissolve, and there's some easing. If you've taken animation, easing is kind of gradually fading in, fading out, or transitioning. So you can use any of these presets. You can also do custom. If you know animation, try it out. And the time, 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. So I'm actually going to set that to 1 second. And I'm going to ease out a dissolve. Okay, so I'm going to test it out over here. If I tap here, look at that. It dissolves. It takes a whole second. That's pretty long. So then you can come back here and make a change. You have to click on the arrow, and then maybe that 300 was correct. Okay, test it out. I got to navigate back, tap. I like that better. So this is the prototyping process. We're testing it out, seeing what works. Are my colors working? Can I read my fonts? Is the interactivity working as well? I'll set up one more thing. When I click on this, I got my little plus sign. When I click on this, I'm going to go to my page, navigate to page 2, dissolve. I'm going to try something different, maybe move in. Okay, and I'm going to do, you can do ease in and out. You can do some interesting things too. You could do a bounce. That's kind of fun. So it depends on the what you're going for. Okay, so let's test that out. All right, we got our dissolve. That's pretty cool. So there's my prototype of 3 pages. Another thing you can do is you can download from either the Google Play Store or the App Store. You can download the Figma app. It used to be called Figma Mirror, but it's just the Figma app. So try it out. Well, I'll have to do a live demo in class. Download that app, sign in with your school account, and you can do Figma Mirror. And it is going to be a prototype on your phone of what you made. So it's going to look real, and you can use your finger to tap through, and you can really see it in its natural environment of how it looks. It's pretty incredible. Finally, sharing this, you can share with other people to collaborate with. And I'm not sure if we can do that or not, but this is how you would do it. You click on it, share it like a Google Doc, invite them, and then they could work on it with you. Another interactive part is leaving comments. So let's say if I shared it with myself or shared it with a client or whatever, they could come in and make comments. So there's a little button right here, and you can make a comment. You could say, this blue isn't right. Please modify. And you could have a little conversation. So you can see that little comment is right there. Don't want to do that. There we go. I'm just going to grab another tool. Okay. A couple of other things that we can also do before I go here, I'm going to close this one up, is we can import graphics. So we could do this file and place image. So that's a similar command to, let's say, Illustrator. Let's find an image. Let's go with, I don't know, something nice like trees. Something calm. I like this one. This is just a prototype. I would use Unsplash or take your own photos or create your own art. But again, this is just a demo. I'm just going to right click, copy image, go back to Figma, and I can paste it. I'm going to allow for that to happen. And I can bring this down. This is in a frame, and it's also scaling for me a little easier than Illustrator. And I just drop that into my frame. I'm just going to send that to the back. And I'm actually going to get rid of that red. So instead, I have a picture background. And again, I can test that out. It's very quick and responsive. Finally, let's say you have some graphics that you made. I'm going to demo that real quick. If you have Illustrator open, I'll do it in two different ways. Let's say I have Illustrator open. I'm more comfortable drawing in Illustrator, right? I've been using that for a long time. You know, maybe I have this custom graphic. I have the Pathfinder tool. And maybe this is pink. Maybe this one's blue. Maybe this is like a switch icon or something I'm making. Okay. For me, that's way easier to make in Illustrator than like learning something new. But they talk to each other. Copy, paste. Let's see if that works. Control C, Control V, and it pastes in vector artwork. And you can drop that into any frame. You can also drag and drop artwork from the web to Figma. So let's say I had another picture of a tree. I like this one here. I'm going to save this one to my desktop. Save image as. Call this trees. And now this is on my desktop. So hide Illustrator. It's right there. It's on my desktop or wherever you saved it to. So you can also drag and drop things. I'm going to put that behind here. It already just kind of automatically drops it down in there. I'm going to scale that to the right size so it looks a little better. Great. Maybe send that to the back. Get rid of this red shape. Maybe this is a very faint image or something like that. So you got lots of possibilities. Everything's real similar to what you've already learned, but now we have this interactive component to it and we can test things out on our phone. So that is the basics of using Figma and how to prototype either a website or an app. You are going to be tasked with making your own, but this is the how to use the software. Hopefully that is helpful to you.